Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Booth. Today we're going to be talking about setting up your speed lights and the different ways to trigger them off the camera. This video is a beginner level video for those who are deciding on getting into professional photography, or you've just bought yourself a camera like this and you want to use it with one of these, a Speedlight, and I'm going to be showing you several different ways in which you can use your Speedlight, or you can connect your Speedlight to your camera so that you can take better photos with better lighting. When you get a camera like this, you will notice some of these cameras already have a pop-up flash. So when you press on the side, you can have the flash pop up and you can take photos using this pop-up flash. It's okay, it's better than nothing, and you can use it in different scenarios, but it has very little power and you can't really control what you can do with it. There's very little control. With these Canon cameras, you can have a bit of control inside the menu, but otherwise it's stuck to the camera and you don't have a lot of power coming out of them. So the pop-up flash is okay, it's better than nothing, but it's not ideal. The next level of lighting are these speed lights, but make sure that when you're buying your flash, make sure that it is compatible with whatever camera that you have. If they're compatible, the simplest way to use this is just to pop it on top of the hot shoe. The hot shoe is the attachment that you use to connect your flash. You tighten it so that it doesn't fall off, and when you take a photo, the flash goes off. Whenever you're buying your speed flash, like I said, remember to buy one that's compatible with your camera, or buy one of these that are called universal flashes that can work with just about any camera that you have. The only problem is there are some features that, as you can see, there are extra contacts on this hot shoe that provide other information that we're not going to cover in this particular tutorial to the flash, and so you won't have access to those features. If you're using a universal flash, you can just trigger the flash using your camera. Another way of triggering your flash that's related to the first one that I talked about, which is just putting your flash on top of your camera, is to move the flash off the camera and then use TTL extension sync cable. And this is a cable that has similar contacts to your flash on one end, and then contacts like the top of your camera on the other end. So it's just an extension cable of this setup. The other way you can trigger your flash is using these flash triggers. I have a Yangno flash trigger, so it will work with Yangno flashes, and this Godox flash trigger will work with Godox flashes. So you cannot use this on this flash and you cannot use this on that. It connects to the top just like this, and you have controls that adjust the power of your flash and everything. This particular controller is a Yangno controller, so it works with the same flash that I was having on top of the camera. And so when these are set up correctly, you set this up to receive a signal from this transmitter, and so when I do this, the flash goes. So you have separated the camera and the flash, and you are able to put this wherever in the room, or up high or down low, and you have much more control, much more flexibility of your flash. And you will see at the back the same controls that you have on your flash are on your controller, so you can actually control your flash right on the transmitter. If we look at this flash trigger, you can see it's got a GR at the top there. That stands for group, and you've got 3 groups here, A, B, and C. And down here you've got a channel 1. And when you're setting these up, for them to be able to communicate, they must be on the same group and they must be on the same channel. Different triggers have different ways of setting the group and the channel, so you need to make sure you know how to do that. So if you look at this current setup, you can see it's also in group A and channel 1. So if I test fire this, see, it goes off because they're able to communicate. So if you're having issues with this not working with that, then you need to check that they're on the same group and on the same channel. And also you want to make sure that your flash itself is set to receive the signal. Now if I cycle through, just watch the top, at the top there, if I cycle through the mode, this button here, it goes from manual. When it's in manual mode, it doesn't communicate with your trigger. This is the mode that you use when you put it on top of your camera. If I go one more, you see it says TX. It means it's now in transmitter mode, and so it can trigger other flash heads, same brand as this one. If I go on, it goes into RX mode, and RX means it's now in receiver mode. So now it can receive a signal from other flashes, other flash units, or this transmitter. So if I put this in TX mode and I try to get it to flash, nothing happens. But as soon as I put it in receiver mode and I test it out, it receives a signal and it flashes. So TX, transmitter mode, RX, receiver mode, and that's what you want to use when you're doing this. The next way you can trigger your flash is using these transceivers. This is for Yangno, and this particular model has a C at the end, indicating that this is designed for Canon cameras. You can also get the N version, which is designed for Nikon cameras, but I personally have a GH5 as well, and these work fine on the GH5. So when you're buying these, you make sure that they are compatible with whatever camera that you're going to be using. These units are called transceivers, and as the name suggests, they both transmit and receive signals. As you can see, there's hot shoe contacts on top and there's a hot shoe contact at the bottom. So the way you use these is one of them goes on top of your camera, just like this. Switch it on, and the other goes the bottom of your flash. The one thing about these particular ones from Yangno is that when you put it on the flash, there's no way to switch it on and off. So you make sure it's on before you put it on, and then you put it on top of the flash. So now this is a transmitter and this is a receiver. So when I take a picture with this camera, let's see if you can see it better. Take a picture, the flash goes off. So the signal is coming from my camera onto this. And the neat thing about this is you can use any brand flash. So I can take that and put it on my Godox flash. As long as it's in manual mode, I can use that. One of the greatest advantages of transceivers like this one is that you can have your flash a very long distance away, and you can have obstacles in the way and it will still work. For this particular one, this has a range of about 100 meters. So you can have your flash set up 100 meters away from your camera and you can still have that triggering that flash. Usually they are already paired, so they already communicate out of the box, but if they don't, these particular ones have got some switches inside. Those white DIN switches. Make sure that they match on both your transceivers. That way they'll be able to communicate. So make sure those switches match and they'll be able to communicate. Say you have a flash like this one. This is a very old but very good flash, but maybe it's not compatible with your camera. You want this to communicate with this, and what you do is these receivers will work with this transmitter. So this transmitter, these two receivers, and the way you connect them is, again, you are connecting your transmitter onto your camera, and then you're connecting your receiver now to this flash, which might be a different brand or an old brand that doesn't have any transmitter inside. Now when it's connected, you now have a receiver, you have a transmitter, and when I do this, see, it flashes. This is now receiving a signal, and they usually come in pairs, so you can actually connect these to two flashes and control two flashes at the same time. The other way you can trigger your flashes, especially if they are the same model, is to have one set to receiver mode and the other one set to transmitter mode. So if you have flashes that are similar models, like these two Yangnos or this Godox, these both are Godox flashes. For you to be able to use one flash to control another or to trigger another flash, you need to set one of your flashes to transmitter mode and the other flash to receiver mode. All these flashes have got a transmitter mode and they have a receiver mode. On the Yangno, if I cycle through this, you can see it says RX. That means it's ready to receive a signal. If I go to at the beginning here, you can see it now says TX. It means it's ready to transmit a signal. So I can use this to control another Yangno flash like this one. Okay, so let me demonstrate that using the Godox. So this is AD200, as you can see, and this is the TT600, but they're both Godox. And right now it's in manual mode, and what I need to do is to put it into the radio mode. For this Godox, I just press this, long press it until that is flashing, and then I move this until I see an M or an S. And on the Godox, the M means it's now in master mode, and master mode means it's going to send a signal to other flashes. When it's in S mode, that's called the slave mode, it means it's ready to receive signals from other flashes. So right now I want to send a signal from this flash to trigger this pocket flash, the AD200. So I need to put it in master mode. So there you go, it's now in master mode, and I put set, and you can see information here about channel and group. So the same way we were talking about the triggers, you will need to make sure that this is also in the same group and it's also in the same channel. And for this particular one, we can see that here. And what I need to do on this one is to press this radio signal, and you can see the radio signal comes on right there, and it says it's in channel 12, and the radio signal is now on. So you just turn this around so you can see it flash, because now they're both on the same channel. If I press this to test the flash, both flashes will go off. So this is now able to trigger this flash, and you can see I can control this flash using this one. If you look at the controls, when I change this, it's also changing on there. Right, so I can have this on top of my camera, and whenever this goes off, that also goes off, and I can change the power settings on this one. There's another cool way that you can trigger your flash off camera using light. What that means is your speed light will go off as soon as it sees another speed light going off. There are different modes on your flash that you can cycle through, and one of them on this Nyang Nuo is called S1 and the other one is S2. Both these flash modes are called slave modes, and what they do is they put the flash into a state where it will trigger when it sees another flash flashing. Okay? So, for example, I have this little camera here, an old point and shoot, and I can trigger this flash head using this little point and shoot. If I just switch that on, and the flash on this little thing is on, so when I take a picture on this, the flash is triggered. See that? And what it does, what is happening in this situation is there's a little flash built into this camera, and when this flash head sees the light coming from this flash, when it flashes, it also goes off. Say I wanted to trigger this light using the Nyang Nuo. So this is a Godox, and for the Godox to go into slave mode, you just press this, long press this, and you get that menu coming on. The first one is your sleep. You press it again, and press it again, and you press it again, and press it again. You now go into optical sync mode. Right now it's off. To switch it on, you move the dial and it goes into slave mode 1. You move it again, it goes into slave mode 2. So let's just leave it on slave mode 1 and exit. So now you can see S1 is written there. So let me face this way so you can see what's happening. If I have my Nyang Nuo and I'm taking a picture and it goes off, that also goes off. The only downside of having your flashes in slave mode is that if you're in a room where other people are taking photos and their flashes are going off, your flash will also go off every time someone else takes a photo. So it depends on the situation. You can use that when you are shooting on your own, and it's also not very reliable when there's very bright sunlight outside, so you might not be able to use it very well in bright situations, but it's another way of triggering your flash unit. The other way to trigger your flash off camera is using the PC sync cable. So I don't have a PC sync cable, but it looks a lot like a regular headphone jack on one side, and the other side may look something like this. You basically connect your flash. So if you look in here, you see there's that connection there for this flash. If I take the Godox, open it up, this one has, see it flashes when you put it in. So it has the regular cable that you stick in there, and the other end you put into the camera. So if I open this one up, you can see right there. You can connect that to your flash, and then you have off camera flash. So see you next time on Tech Booth.